Welcome back to the Blocking Biscuits podcast. I am your executive producer, Brad Thompson, and we're very excited for our interview tonight. But without further ado, I have to throw it to my host. Another night here with Treh Hamilton.
Thanks a lot, Brad. It's going to be a lot of fun tonight. Thanks again for having me on and getting to host. But I'm not hosting alone here tonight. We got another amazing guest on the show tonight. He's going to be answering a lot of questions, telling us a lot of stories, and I cannot wait to see what this guy has in store for us. He's kind of the face of social media in senior hockey, viral videos left and right. Not just senior hockey, by the way. We'll obviously get into that, but we're super honored tonight to have Mr. Kyle Thompson, as you guys know him, 48 cuts on the show tonight. Thanks so much for being here with us, Kyle.
Boys, thanks for having me. Stoked to do this. I know we talked about in the past, Trey, jumping on the pod, the old one that you had going, but pumped to be on this new one. And obviously checking you guys out on social media. It's sick to see what you guys have done with the Blocking Biscuits and tying all the senior hockey together. And I love seeing the ranking system. It's always cool, especially cross promotions too, right? Like seeing that the Squires used to be a rival of the team that I'm working with, Alvinston, and now they're in a different league. See where they stack up as well as the other teams that we battle.
For sure. I appreciate it. I know, like I said, Brad was a little more involved with them and, when they reached out about needing a host, but even a couple months ago when they first came up, people were asking, there's rumors going around, who's these Blocking Biscuits guys? And they were messaging, asking for opinions on, if Stony Creek played Alvinston today, who do you think would win? And I'm like, hey guys, listen, I cover the NPHL. I can't tell you who I know would win right now, but I can tell you it'd be one heck of a game. So it's like you said, it's really cool to kind of see all of it come into one place, and that's why I jumped on board, and I know that's why Brad jumped on board. The vision of kind of bringing all this senior hockey into one that's accessible and available to the public, to the fans. You don't have to go dig on an NPHL website and then wonder how Elmville's doing and jump on the OEHL site. You can check it all there in one place, and we really appreciate you noticing, man. It means a lot because we notice what you're doing and what you've been doing for the last few years, and I can't wait to talk about it tonight. Like it's going to be a good time. So, Brad, you got anything to
Absolutely.
add in the intro here? Or?
I'm really excited. We've like you said, Kyle, we've talked about having you on for a long time, regardless of the podcast. So I'm glad Blocking Biscuits could do it. And I heard you're a Chatham born, right? Or Chatham boy?
No, I'm actually Brigden, Ontario. Very small. It's only
Bro,
known
hey,
for
hey,
its
Brigden
fair.
Fair.
Yes, it's exactly the only thing it's known for. It's literally a corner with a gas station. They used to have a bank. I think they got a credit union there. Maybe a pizza. They got a pizza shop and another restaurant, a little bit of a dive restaurant. But small town. Grew up in like Moortown hockey. Sarnia's close. Obviously, work with the Sarnia Sting now. But yeah, Chatham. I'm the three teams I work with, and I know we'll dive into it. Chatham Maroons, Alvinston Killer Bees, and Sarnia Sting. And I'm dead smack in the middle of them. They're all different directions, but. No way, dude.
I
That's
got
that's
so I
unreal.
had to wear it for tonight because I knew you worked for the Maroons. So I grew up in
Yes.
Chatham. Now I live in Dresden. The Chatham Maroons 98, 99 Sutherland Cup champs
Are you in
hat.
Dresden? You're in
I'm
Dresden
in
right now?
I'm not right now, but yes, I grew up in Chatham, Kent, but family lives in Dresden. So
Unreal. I go to Dresden all the time. We're about, yeah, 20 minutes from Dresden.
Lindsay Road.
Yeah, unreal. That's sick.
Yeah, man.
Wicked.
Look at
Yeah, I
that
know they,
connection.
but yeah, so being in this area, growing up racing dirt bikes, I played hockey. I played hockey growing up until Bantam, which is what, U14 now, U15. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh,
U15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
U15. And then it was kind of a choice between going and training down south and riding my dirt bike at that age or playing hockey. And obviously, man, like young boy with an engine under him, dirt bike, and man, it was seemed like the way to go. And at that point, I wasn't going anywhere with hockey. It wasn't like I was like some superstar or anything, so it didn't really matter to me. I had more of an opportunity to chase around the dirt bike scene, and man, that carried me far. Like I'm still in that scene, like just doing a bunch of stuff up here in Canada. I've run the national series in Canada for the last 8 years in the summertime, and then just this past August, I stepped away from that and went all in hockey. So August 18th, I think, was my last day working with my brother on the motocross series. And I signed a contract with the Sting, the Maroons, and the Killer Bees all within that first week off. and yeah, obviously do a lot of minor hockey and stuff like that. But I was all in. I just think being from Canada, I love shooting for one. I love video side of things. I like creating. But I also think being Canadian and not being like heavy into hockey is like just a big fail. Like you got to, it's our sport, right? Obviously I'll still be tied to Moto for life, and I'm still doing work there, but spending the winters just being home, right? Like I was on the road so much when I was
Yeah.
doing winter motocross. We just don't have anything local. There's nothing local for us to do. So I'm traveling to Mississippi, Tennessee, out west, like everywhere to just chase that scene. And I got two young girls, and I'm like, man, I want to be home. And I love hockey, and I love creating something in our community, right? Like you
Yeah.
guys got your communities up there, Stratford, Orangeville, all that stuff. But it's like I want to create like the Chatham, Kent, Lambton County area as like a powerhouse for media. And like these kids that are playing in this area, I want them to be spotlight.
What
So
For
a
sure.
sorry, trade the Southwestern Ontario kids' dream, motocross and hockey. There's nothing better.
so true. So true. Being from Dresden, you get it like out here in
Yeah.
the fields, man. Yeah.
It's a great scene, and I mean we appreciate the origin of Kyle Thompson, what brought you into everything. And I wanted to ask you because I mean a majority of the people that are going to watch this podcast know you from your content and your relationship with the Alvinston Killer Bees. And I wanted to ask you what got you into Alvinston, who brought you in, drop some names, give some shout
Yeah.
outs, and explain why you fell in love with the Alvinston Killer Bees and everything they're doing down there because they're doing a great
Yeah.
job.
Okay, so I'll give you the full scoop as I got a timeline up here from the last edit. Almost done this last edit here for the strat, which is a crazy game, you guys. I don't know if you watch the feed. What a crazy game. Two powerhouses.
Joel was going all in, man. I
Our
told him
our
after
group
the
our group
game.
chats were blowing up.
I told Joel after the game, man, you gotta save that energy for the playoffs. But that felt like a playoff game, man.
It
Like,
did. It really did. And it's funny. I'll get to the story here, but it was actually my brother's company that came in as the sponsor that night. And I'm like, you guys lucked out. I'm like, so the whole family was there, and like, I'm like, this is the best game of the year besides playoffs, obviously. And they text me the next day like, that was sick. That was awesome. They'd never been to one before, and I was like, yeah, that's a legit one to go to. Anyways, so I when I first got into it, I first started shooting hockey February of 2024. And I was doing some minor hockey, some kids, U10, just real slow stuff. And I'm like, all right, that was fun. I want to get something a little quicker. So my buddy Mike Myers, he was coaching or assistant coach with Craig Wright's dad, Brad, on the Squires. And I'm like, they were in playoffs at that time with the Killer Bees. So Mizey's like, man, like hit up the Killer Bees. Like they'll probably be like, we don't have any budget to get you out. They'll probably have budget to get you out and shoot and pay you some money to do it. And I'm like, all right, try to get a hold of Brett Case and send him an email. And to this day, he says he didn't see the email. So whatever. But anyways, I'm like, you know what, F it. Like, I'm just gonna go out and shoot for the Squires because I'm like, obviously Craig Wright, good buddy of mine. He's still playing now. He's playing with the Killer Bees, which is sweet. And I'm like, I'm gonna go shoot. So I got that. And a lot of people remember that speech by Brad Wright, like that sandpaper. I don't know, it was pretty gnarly speech there in playoffs because they were up 1-0 on the Bees at that time. So I shot that game. I missed one game, and then I shot the last one, and the Bees beat the Squires out. So that was the end of that series. And I guess it was a 3-5 series. That first one in was 3-5, and then it went to 7 games. And a day after, I think it was Dan. Dan reached out to me and coming and was like, "Hey, any chance you want to come shoot for the Bees?" I'm like, "Absolutely." So we worked out a deal and started shooting for them. I did the first game with them against Stratford. That was yeah, that was a great series. That's Stratford, and then I think we linked up for like three more in that series, and it just snowballed from there. It was like they just got addicted to having good content, and we chased that Tilsonburg series, and man, that went down. Obviously, Trey, that went down to Game 7, which was epic because I want to say, man, Tilsonburg was up freaking 4-0 or
yeah,
5-0.
it was 5-0 in the second period, and then Bees came all the way back, made it 5-4, got a late power play. Like
Yeah,
it was the one of the greatest. I know you were there.
yeah,
The atmosphere, the 1,200 people, packed barn,
yeah.
both like that series. I'm not going to cut your story, but that
No,
series for both those two teams was just incredible for building. And guys like you brought it to the forefront where both barns were sold out for that whole series. We had fan buses, all this stuff, and that Game 7 was just the pinnacle of what that was all about, and really brought, I think, guys like you and me even more
Yeah.
into senior hockey for sure. So
Yeah, it
Best
definitely.
game I've ever been to, but from a social media standpoint, it was so hard to work because the arena was so packed. Just trying to get around to shoot content for that game was insane.
I know. I remember so yeah, that first two periods were rough. I think I was on the bench shooting because the first time I was in Tilsonburg, I shot from the fan side, which I love that arena, especially when it's full. So I was like, you know what? I want to shoot from the bench side so I can shoot across and see the fans in the background because obviously it's a brick wall on the other side. And the first two periods went so bad. I'm like, I got to get the hell off the bench. I'm like, I got to go to the other side and shoot this. And then that third period was epic. I remember Spravero with that alley oop to Pruder and like that that's one of my favorite goals of all time was just nasty to kind of get things rolling and then that kind of like was a tough ending but like I think it gave Killer Bees a lot of motivation and going into last year obviously they signed me up again and they got the Jumbotron and man I don't know if you guys have been there for the full show but there's a lot of content I gotta build out for that show and I think it's very necessary. I think it's very necessary for any team, let alone the senior hockey teams, to have somebody that's going to pump out good content to get these fans engaged. It's a tough market, right? There's just so much hockey in Ontario. It's like where do you pick? There's like good junior C teams here, junior B, we got junior A, and then we got these senior teams. So people have got to get behind something, and I think that's what helps the Killer Bees and what they're what they stand for.
for sure. It's they're a now storied organization. I mean, you go back to when the guys got everything first started. It was a tough year, tough couple of years for them to get their footing, get the sponsorships, get the local people interested. But the vision right from the start, I respect it so much because some of these other teams, like you mentioned, Brad in Orangeville, myself in Stratford, I used to be in Tilsonburg. Yeah, the specifically Orangeville Stratford side of it is, it's a big city. They're, 40, 50,000. It's hard because people have access to junior B, OHL locally, right? Stuff like that. And picking a small town like Alvinston where you drive and you sneeze and you miss the town, like
Yeah.
to pick that and all those small communities around it that have come in and supported the bees. I mean, it's just great to see what they've done and to sing their praises is amazing if they were winless because of what they've done, but they're one of the best teams of senior
Mhm.
hockey across Canada. So it's got to be definitely a source of pride to get to work for that organization for sure.
It
So
is. And I remember doing those first two games with the Squire and going through the shots. And I was getting used to shooting faster hockey at the time, but I'm like, man, I had zero good shots for the Squires because they just got outworked by that Killer Bees. I remember McEwen, I'm like, who is this guy? I'm like, this guy's
mhm.
nasty. And he was just putting up numbers in Feezy. And honestly, I came into the Killer Bees and those that it was just a solid team. It was just a really good team, and it just needed to be put out there for the public to see that there's some good players. And I said it on a social media post I think last week, just like man, people sitting back and not knowing that they have senior hockey locally, and just especially the NPHL, man. These teams are so like feisty, and they're trying to get these guys, and they're getting NHL quality players, AHL,
Yeah.
like all these high end players that are coming here. Like you look at the Strathroy Jets, man. Like, whew, they're absolutely insane stacked, and like having Prost and Shrimp just to like the icing on the cake kind of thing.
Yeah, any team in that division can win any game, right? Like we saw the Bees' first loss this year was in Tilbury, like, and nobody
Yeah.
expected it. And I know Tilbury had a few guys that came out from University of Windsor, blah blah blah. There's
Mhm.
any team can win any night. I mean, it's incredible, and even from my side of it being in Stratford, it's really cool to be part of it, and I'm enjoying every day, and as we get closer to the playoffs, it's going to ramp up, and I think it's going to be one of the best playoffs we've ever seen since we've been part of it. So.
Yeah,
Really
and it looks
excited.
like it's going to be what Stratford and Strathroy rematch
Yeah,
first round, which is crazy to think. And it's wild too. And just thinking about like, man, Stratford could just absolutely pull an upset. They're such a playoff team, and
yep.
even how stacked Strathroy is, it's going to be one of those. I could see it going seven, and I'm sure you guys can see the same thing, and
I
and
hope
just
so.
battle back and forth.
I hope so. Nothing better than the 7 game series. We've seen a lot of them over the last few years, and
Yeah.
I mean, you guys know from that first round last year, like it was so crazy because Strathroy was, obviously not West wasn't there yet, but they had Shrimp. They made the trade for McQueen. They always have had Buck and McNeil pretty much since the beginning. Those guys all showed up in the playoffs, and it's like all of a sudden you have Evan DeBrouwer, best goalie in the league. Yeah, those guys in there, and the Bees. It's you're playing the 7 seed in the first round,
Yeah.
and these guys are all of a sudden all over it. And I mean, it's just that's why it's really cool. You can't count them out, but I think all four of these teams in this division specifically have done a great job in adding that talent. And I think a lot of the attention that has been brought to senior hockey is a reason why these guys are starting to sign. And I think you got to give yourself some credit for that, and the other creators as well. For helping to bring that social media attention. They always say your players are your best recruiters, but some guys might still say, it's just senior hockey, right? Like what's there for
Mhm.
me? And then they're seeing these videos on social media blowing up, whether it be your game recaps or your 90-second updates. And like I said, the stuff that other guys are doing too, guys and girls that are doing across all the senior hockey leagues. These really good players are sitting at home, working 9 to 5s and looking and saying, man, this could be a lot of fun. And then,
Yeah.
it helps to attract those guys. And that's why I want to ask you kind of my next question was, what do you think that the social media presence has done for the growth of senior hockey in Ontario?
To be honest with you, I don't know. Well, I kind of know it before social media because I was a Squires fan back when I lived in Petrolia for 15 years and went to like just cheap beers at a Squires night on a Friday and go down there with the boys and watch some guys that played maybe junior C or maybe just some high level minor hockey and then like we'll play the senior stuff. It's better than beer league, right?
Yeah.
But today's senior hockey is completely different, and I honestly think, in my vision with it is, I've been in social media quite a long time with the motocross stuff, and motocross is very heavy in social media just because a lot of these riders get contracts through their social media as far as having sponsorships and money coming in. So it's very important to be posting lots. But I brought that mentality into senior hockey, and you look at like teams in the OHL or even junior B or stuff like that. They got good content, but senior just needed that little boost. And if you think about it, like why is football so big? Well, football's so big because they play once a week. It's not like you get all hyped up all week. I know you boys sit at home and like can't wait for the Irish or the Blitz to play, and like who's lining up this week. And I think that's a big part of it. I know that these guys are working 9 to 5 jobs or whatever they're doing, but they still have that absolute passion for the game. You talk to a guy like James McHugh and I talk all the time, and he just loves to win. He loves to score goals, and he's one of my favorite players to shoot with because I'm like every time that guy scores a goal, he's absolutely amped. He shows emotion. He shows like, yes, I scored. You know what I mean? Like I love that. As a creator, I'm like, that's what we want. I was just editing his goal, his game-winning goal there from the other night, and he's just stoked because he got a pass from Grant Spence and he's giving like the point to Grant Spence. Like that emotion right there makes my job a lot easier. And but that's what these guys they all come from a high level of hockey. And it's like, what are you just supposed to turn that tap off, that mentality off? Or go to beer league where it's like people just like pretend like they don't care, win, loss, whatever, and just drink beer. But they've got to funnel it somewhere. And all these high end players, like even Brendan Feasy, man, that guy scores hat trick after hat trick. Like he just loves scoring goals. The amount of shots he takes in a game is insane. I've got so many clips of Brendan Feasy shooting a puck, and like he gets hat trick after hat trick, and he loves to just go out there and put points on the board. He's competitive. He wants to win. I'm on the bench with these guys, and they get mad at each other because like, hey man, you got to be better than this. You got to do this, talking it out, getting the old chalkboard out kind of thing. And I think that switch in their brains, their athlete brains, doesn't shut off, but it's just find a level of hockey that matches that, right? And I think now with the NPHL and the amount of talent and players, like guys like Trent Pruss, that's huge for the league. And I know Randell, there's a couple guys. Is there a guy on your team from the NHL?
Yeah, so we have like in Orangeville, they got three former NHLers. They got
Yep.
Justin Auger, Ben Thompson, and Tyler Randall. And then
Okay.
down in Stratford, we got Zach Magwood. He didn't play in the
Yep.
NHL, but he had a steady career between Europe and the AHL, and he was one of the best Barry Colts of the last 15
Yep.
years. His buddy Jaden Pekka, they played in Barry together. Again, another guy that played pro in Europe. Connor Hall was a second round pick of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Steady defenseman.
Yep.
These kind of guys didn't play senior hockey, and you look back a few years And I came from Tillsonburg. That's where I started. I still live in the area, and you got to give credit to that organization. Them and Strathroy were really the first two to bring in. Really the first two guys were Brandon Buck and Jamie McQueen. And
Hmm.
ironically, they played against each other over in Europe in the
Yeah.
DEL for years, and they went toe to toe. And now these guys are teammates, which is totally not fair for the rest of us. But you get to watch these guys go toe to toe. They were both, highly touted prospects going into the NHL draft. They both had AHL careers. They dominated in Europe for years. They come home. Jamie's a firefighter now. Bucky's a cop. And, they just want to play hockey and they don't want to play beer league, like you said. They want to
Hmm.
still take a hit. They want to block a shot. You know what they want to see? They want to see 650, 700
Hmm.
people in the crowd cheering when they score. You don't get that in beer league, obviously. You get the wife up there and she's on her phone or reading a book and she doesn't care.
Oh
So,
yeah.
to get that opportunity. And then what those two guys, when they came into the league, it attracted these other teams to start bringing in ex-pro talent. And here we are. You go up, you see the eastern side of the NPHL. You got a guy like Brian Bickle playing for the Durham Hawks, three
Yeah.
times Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah.
What does this guy have left to prove?
Yeah.
He's won three Stanley Cups, but he loves the game of hockey. He's got his business up there. He's from Durham, born and raised, played junior hockey in Durham, and he wants to be on the ice in front of his local community. And like you said, the Bees, the Irish, all these teams up there, they're figuring out a way to bring these guys in, and they're just doing a great job of selling it to the players. And ask the players, you speak to Q, you speak to Fees,
Yeah.
obviously. You work with Fees down in Chatham too on the coaching side of things, but
Yeah.
these guys are having so much fun, and at the same time, they're playing competitive hockey at locally. And I mean, what more could they ask for, right? Like it's a
Buddy.
really cool scene. So
Check out a power play on a senior hockey game. It's insane how they just snap that puck around. It's the amount of clips I have of these guys just passing the puck around like so crisp, like NHL quality passes, setups, and on the other side of it, the PK that's working it too, right? Like they're
mhm.
just blocking shots. Like Strathroy, I got a clip here. Strathroy, last shot of the game, Buck with the 1T and Q blocking it. Like this is a regular season game in senior hockey, and he's
Wow.
soaking a shot like that. It's incredible, and to be honest with you, it's great experience too because I'm in the penalty box, and actually it was in Strathroy, and Lamoureux and McQueen got into it, and McQueen was just giving Lamoureux the gears, and like it's awesome to see that energy, right? Like they're really into winning, they're really into like battling for these pucks, and yeah, I got to talk to McQueen a little bit there and see like that he did come from the Europe, and him and Buck were used to play against each other. They're the same age too, so it's kind of cool to
Yep.
see that. And now they're in this league, and man, are they fun to watch when they get buzzing around there, especially the four of those guys with Prust and Shrempy out there. And then, fun fact, Shremp last game this past weekend just got his wisdom teeth, I think, taken out. He's out there, man, out there just playing, trying to get this win for Strathroy. He didn't play too many minutes, but he was on the power play, that's for sure. And then near the end of the game, when they pulled the goalie, he was out there for the full time there. So trying to get it done, and that just shows you, man, like what other league out there, these retired guys don't need to play, but got their teeth ripped out and they're on the ice there playing. Pretty cool to
That's
see.
awesome.
Yeah.
It's what we see it week to week. Trey and I have been working this for a long time. Getting back to your content though, you mentioned at the top of the interview that I mean, you work with Chatham, you work with Sarn, you work with Alvinson. How does the exclusivity work with some of those teams? How does your relationship work with some of those teams? And um, you know, how does that all work out on your end in terms of branding and stuff like that?
A second, what's the video screwed up here? So anyways, yeah, to be honest with you, now that like they set out a schedule. So I have with the Sting, I have 3 games a month. In the Maroons, I have 2 games a month. And then with the Bees, I'm just like all the home games I get to because we do a lot of stuff on the Jumbotron, and then any road games. I love going to Stratford and I actually like Orangeville too. Those two arenas are awesome to shoot at. So I try to get on the road as much as I can, but it's difficult, right, with the other two teams. But for it's a little bit more simple for Maroons and Sting as far as what content they need. They just want a more polished look in there. Like Maroons had nobody before I came in there. They just posted scores. So it was just constant like game times and scores. And now that I'm there, I try to provide them with a bunch of content. But as far as that goes, like there's no conflict of interest because they're just in all different leagues. So I'm not. It's not like I'm shooting for, say, Strathroy Jets and Alvinston Killer Bees. Like it's a junior A, junior B, and senior A hockey. So it doesn't conflict, and we book dates ahead of time. Like I think I had all my dates dialed in September, besides playoffs, and we'll see how that goes. I don't know if Sting will make it, but Maroons and Bees sitting both in first place right now, so looking good there. And excited to shoot some of that. But man, out of all the hockey, I would say, man, that maroon stuff is pretty wild. It's a tight rink, and those kids are absolutely insane with their stick work. They're just so dialed in with moving the puck in such a tight area. It's impressive to watch. And then you go to the Sting. Obviously, those guys are destined for higher hockey right off the hop. So good clean play. And then you get teams like London Knights coming there. The Sioux are really good this year, and seeing other players that are touted to go draft number one or already been drafted by NHL teams. So being able to see that level of hockey where kids are getting drafted to NHL, but then also the senior side of things where these guys have come out of the NHL or professional hockey. It's two completely different sides of the spectrum. It's the junior B. These kids are going nuts because every game is a potential game where they can get on the radar of an OHL team. The OHL guys are going nuts because they're trying to make the NHL, so they want to get as many points and get their names out there. And then you get the senior hockey. They're just doing it for the love of the game, but they want to get the goals because that feels good, and they want to get their team into the playoffs and championships. So it's honestly it's fun to be around, man. It's a fun environment, and I guess I just missed out on that with being into motocross. It's an individual sport, and being in part of the locker room. And man, it's shout out to my boy Jacob Chandler. The first full year I was there, it's called me Cutsy for 48 cuts, and then that thing stuck because like everybody knows me as Cutsy now, and it's I feel like part of the boys. It's like you get that hockey nickname, and you're dialed in. So it's
Oh, Scott, as
We're
soon
getting
as
the
you get the
origin. We're getting the
nickname,
origin story. Yeah,
as soon
you
as you
got the
get the
hockey
nickname,
nickname. You know you're in, right?
yeah, you missed me
yeah.
by the way. Last game Stratford was down in Alvinston. I was the backup goaltender. I was kind of
I
hiding over
see,
there. You did
I
see me.
seen you.
I was trying to hide. I was like, I don't want Joel to recognize me. I don't want to get embarrassed here. I was
Dude,
thinking, I was getting a little
Was
worried.
chirping on the bench though, so it's not hard not to
Oh
notice
yeah.
him.
You know what? Yeah,
yeah,
you get the side of it where you have to be in the booth and shaking hands and having a good time, and then you get to be down there and you're on the bench, you're in the penalty box
yeah.
area. You get to see the game from that point of view. It's incredible, man. I do got to give a quick shout out to Joel Campbell, by the way, for hanging out in that bird's nest up in the hive. Like, man, that place is scary. I've been up there to talk to him. Like, those pucks are flying up there, and that
Going
guy,
up that ladder too to get up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that guy's got
yeah,
that guy's got stones of steel to be up there and not be scared and put a great call on for the boys. And I know you work hand in hand with him
yeah.
with pulling his calls for
Oh
your
yeah, I
content.
pull. Man, he's a beauty though. I'll do minor hockey stuff. I did some stuff for Silver Stick, and I'm like, man, I need some calls for this. I'll send him a list of calls, and he'll send them back in like 5 minutes. I'm like, oh shit, that was fast. He just loves the game and loves being a part of it. And man, you can tell by how he does his calls, how he does his prep work. If you've seen his sheets that he comes in with, and he has things listed. I'm sure you do the same, Trey, for
Yeah.
when you're calling games and just knowing your stats, but. It's a true passion, and he works for a couple teams. He works for obviously the Killer Bees is his mainstay, but he works for the Petrolia Flyers. Not so much on the play-by-play. He just does like the in-game announcements and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
public
But
address. Yeah.
yeah, oh, he'd be. I mean, they need to get him for the play-by-play. But I think that junior C level, they're trying to get more fans there, so they try to make it less exciting on the broadcast or the stream side of
Yeah.
things. So that's why they do it. But no, Joel's the man. We came in similar time. I feel like was it Andrew was there when I first kind of showed up on the scene.
Yeah,
Um,
that Stratford playoff series, Dan had actually reached out to me about possibly coming in and doing some games because Joel had come in the Petrolia series, and because he was obviously had ties with the Squires, but the Squires
yeah.
didn't do streaming, so it was like, hey, I'll offer to call the games, and then Joel stepped away, and then and then he went on vacation, and then they brought Andrew in, and then Andrew and Joel kind of did it. And I'm glad that I didn't get in, not because it wouldn't have been a great opportunity, because I mean, what an atmosphere down there. But obviously, the follow up series was Tilsonburg versus
Yeah.
Elvinston, and I know I didn't make a lot of friends in that Elvinston series just because of the passion and that's just how, I was young, brand new broadcaster, still figuring stuff out, and the emotions of that series were incredible. But no, Joel, yeah, he came in that Petrolia series right away, started doing a great job, and again, like you said, he loves the game of hockey. He always loves telling the stories about he grew up a goaltender, which I did as well, and
Yeah.
I guess goalies are just crazy, and we end up in the broadcast booth one day. So, what a story though, and like you said, it's really cool that you work with him and you patch his calls into your content. I think it adds a lot to the content. So.
Yeah, yeah, it's telling a story. You can do it pretty well with the video, but adding his calls and his emphasis to these calls is huge, right? He's definitely, I feel like he's got more into it as he's gone along, and he's I think last year he was just as heartbroken as all the players were when we got beat out by Strathroy. So he's wanting to see that win this year, and I think it'll be a good battle all the way through.
Yeah, we got those rivalries right away, right? Like
Yep.
there's no avoiding it, no matter who you play. Like
No,
we were
even
joking
Tilbury.
about it. Exactly. We were
Yeah.
joking about it in Stratford. We were like, so what do we do? If we lose the rest of our games, we play Elvinston. If we win the rest of our games, we play Strathroy. Oh, great. Yeah, either way, you're in a tough matchup, right? So
Yeah.
there's no easy matchups this year. So
No, that's good. That's good. But I seen Brad, you got some stuff coming through here you want to
Oh
chat
yeah, no,
about?
sorry. I'm just, I'm trying to produce as I go. We're
Oh, you're
chatting
good.
here, and you're such a fun interview because you have such great stories. We ask a question, and you'll tell a story about, Joel Campbell, which is awesome because we love Joel.
Yeah.
But I guess one of the bigger questions is you're obviously in the video side. In terms of social media, why is video so much better than photo, or is it better, or why does it go more viral? We always talk. Um, we're always going to talk on this podcast about viral videos and why
Mhm.
do reels go more viral say than photos. What is the content side of that really makes videos really stick with the fans out there?
Yeah, it's I do photo, but you don't ever see my photo. There's not one post on my thing. Actually, I accidentally put a post up the other day, the Killer Bees static post, but that was an accident. I don't put photo on my actual 48 cuts. I'll do it on the story. But the reason I got into it and the reason I just think that there's so much more depth to video, right? You can be more cinematic, you can be more edgy, you can just do more stuff with a single frame image. It's great. I like that, and I tell creators to start there to try to get their name out there as far as that goes, because you can take, say, 10 photos of 10 different players, tag them, and they're going to share it to the story, and you're getting your name out there. For the creator's sake, it's good. You're able to get more images out there quicker, less editing, and that stuff. But for me, it's always going to be video. I love creating multiple layer things that just bring energy that you can feel it in the palm of your hand. Like you're watching this video and you're reliving that magic. I don't know. I don't know if it's more shareable or if it's the way that the algorithm's pushing towards video more. Instagram obviously came from a platform of photo only at one point, then switched over. And I remember the switch over. I was in mid moto season. They switched and made reels because they were trying to chase that TikTok energy. A lot of people converting over to TikTok. So they're like, oh, we got to do this short form, vertical format reels. And that was in 2020, I believe it was.
Well,
And
we were all doing vines at that
yes,
point, right?
Vines. Yeah, Vines died. Vines died. And then TikTok came around and started taking off. And it was a different app before. It was like Musically or something like that. I never
Yeah.
was on it then. But during COVID, I took our series and went from like maybe 500 followers to 150,000 followers just by pumping content. So I kind of got addicted to doing stuff then. And I was just using people's clips. I never shot at that time. I didn't start shooting until like 2023 with my buddy's camera. And I was just taking video of my daughter riding horses and stuff like that. And just like, I got sick of using other people's clips. So I'm like, all right, I want to take a camera, learn how to set it up. I didn't realize how hard it is to like at the beginning is like set your lighting, set like all your settings on the camera. Like we're all used to phones, you just grab and shoot it, right? Like you just like it's already set up, it self-adjusts. But like that's the big part that separates a lot of creators is learning your settings and learning lighting. And then being able to utilize different frame rates, and then switching over to 4K, that was a huge difference because now I can shoot horizontal. I'm getting all the pixels I need and I'm not expanding that. So lots of different technical things that I got into, but I learned in that first little bit. And I had a good buddy of mine that was just so talented that taught me the way. And once I got going, I already kind of had a good idea of editing. And that minor hockey stuff I did early on before anybody knew me kind of set the tone of like how I wanted to see the 48 cuts go. And sure, like you said, I could take a lot of my clips, goal clips and stuff like that, and just put them up individual clips and probably get a lot more views. But for me, I'd rather take the whole game and make a story out of it, even if it's 30 seconds to a minute and a half, whatever it be. That's more fun to me than taking those single individual clips and messing with them and trying to get some viral content. I'd rather grow. My goal is to grow in my community in the Lambton, Chatham, Kent community because I'm like I see so many opportunities here. Obviously, growing the Killer Bees, growing the Sting, growing Chatham in their leagues, of course. But with that is growing the 48 cuts in this Lambton community, and with that, I want them to get used to me making these little stories from our minor hockey East Lambton Eagles, which is out Alvingston Way or Moortown or like a Sarnia AAA team. Just yeah, building these stories out through social media so people can look back at it. I actually had a great message from a Petrolia U18 player yesterday. I had that Rivals video up yesterday morning. I woke up, I needed some content to go out, and I'm like, you know what, that rivalry is pretty good. I'm like, I wanted to go to this Monday game, which is tonight, with a U16 team, and I was like, I'm gonna make a video of this. I want to hear some more rivalries in the area or around, and I got so many people reached out in comments. But anyways, the one Petrolia kid, he's like, oh, what about that Petrolia Moortown battle last year? And it was awesome. It was in Silver Stick, and they just went head to head, toe to toe, like unreal battle for U18. So 17-year-old kids battling it out for this championship. And he said to me, he's like, man, I watch those videos like at least twice, three times a week. He's like, I love them. And that's been over a year. And I'm like, that's those kind of messages. Like when I get people reach out and like, hey man, you made a video for my kid like a year ago and he still watches it to this day. Like he gets hyped on it. And I'm like, that's the stuff that got me in the door for making content is the people, the appreciation level. And I think coming from a promoter's world where I promoted motocross and it's a bit cutthroat and you're dealing with people that will never give you, hey man, you did a good job. There's going to be a bunch of people going, hey, that event sucked. You guys are brutal, blah, blah, blah. You just hear negatives all the time. So when I switched gears and got around people that appreciated what I did and the work I did, that goes so much further than a paycheck. It's what definitely got me in the door. And there's been times where the messages I get, I'm like, I can't even charge you for this. Like the appreciation you just showed me, I'm like, that goes so far. I'm
Hmm.
glad you guys enjoy it, and it's something that they'll enjoy forever. And yeah, going off the video stuff, that's why I like the video over the photo. I don't think you get the same level of I don't even know how to put it. It's like storytelling for sure, but like
Hmm.
just the appreciation that the work that goes into it. Like and honestly, photos, there's some people out there that can take insane photos that can tell a story in a single image, and God bless them for that. But that's just not me.
For sure. It's a unique side of it, right? And that's just the way that the algorithm and the world is shifting. I mean, I want to ask you as well, while we're on the topic of video, have you noticed over the last few years with, the TikTok crowd coming around, kind of taking things over the younger generation, have you noticed that things over 90 seconds aren't gaining as much traction? And do you try to keep your videos in that 30 to 90-second range that a lot of people talk about when it comes to social media influencers?
Yeah, it just depends on the game, to be honest with you. I know the Sting, like we have monthly meetings with the VP, the Sting, and then their social media team, and they wanted me to tighten up things and keep it tighter between. They wanted 25 and 35. It's really hard to do the way that I shoot, the way that I want to portray that game. But I've done better, and I have tightened up my stuff. I just get carried away. I get a bunch of good shots, and I want to make sure like I showcase those plays by these great players, and When I got to hold back or cut back some of that stuff, it's it bums me out. But at the same time, I'm like, I like a good punchy edit that you can tell a good story in 35 to 45 seconds. I love that. Like, I think the viewers appreciate that too. Especially this brain rot generation we're living in,
Yeah.
and we're all guilty for it. And
Hmm.
it's one of those things. Yeah, the short punchy stuff definitely goes better. But if you tell a good story and the people are invested in that game or that series or whatever it be, they'll watch it and it'll get the views.
For sure. You get the right
Yep.
crowd, right? The right people are watching it at the end of the day. And the target audience, like you said, is you're trying to grow your brand and these other smaller brands and these hockey teams within that region. And I mean, it seems to be doing a great job. And like I said, just keep working at it because it's ultimately, like I said, you're doing something that a lot of people want to do. And that's kind of where my next question was going to be. Would be there's a lot of teams that don't do it. And, whether that you mentioned the Squires earlier, right? There's a lack of budgeting and, there's a lot that goes into the entire operation of owning a senior hockey team. I can't even imagine, dude. I'm glad I'm not in the ownership side of things because just the stress of sponsorships, players, dealing with, the community in terms of, bringing in the Lions Club or the Kinsman Club to do your 50/50s and dealing with the LLBO and all this stuff that goes into
You're
it
you're
to ha
telling me.
to have the stress of having, to worry about social media content. I get why there are some teams that
Mhm.
don't do it, but
Yeah.
how would what advice would you give to some of these teams that are looking to maybe start getting into the social media side of things? Like, what's a good place to start?
First of all, yeah, I'm going to touch on that in a second, but I wanted to give a shout out because you're talking about the behind the scenes, and I want to give a shout out to the Killer Bees and yeah, sure, I'm the face, maybe you say, but the people behind the scenes, and I know you've been there, Trey, the volunteers, the Chads, the Dans, the Bretts, everybody that's pulling at that rope. That's the big reason Albinston is so good, is because everybody is invested like time, money, whatever it be, to make sure that those players have the best opportunity to play hockey and do well. So that's a big key, and that's why I'm so grateful for them and always will have their back as well and try to build their brand. But as far as other teams that may not have that budget or may not have that thing is, man, reach out to like up your way, reach out to local colleges that may have that program that they can get some interns in there and start an intern program amongst their crew. And honestly, you can get decent content for a couple $100 here and there. And for senior hockey, you got 20 regular season games. You get a budget of say 3 grand for the season. You're going to be able to get somebody out there and shooting some stuff and shooting some good stuff for that budget. So try to find it in the off season if you don't have it this year, and that goes to junior B, junior C, or whatever it is. Even if it's only a couple games a month, I think it gives the fans something to look forward to. And I know when I go into the Maroons dressing room, they have my schedule on the wall, and it feels pretty cool for me to see that. Like, 40 cuts is going to be at these games, and the boys get all fired up to have me out and shooting for them, and they always look forward to those recaps and those goals too. I'm sure that they want to score goals on those days because they get nice little clips of those. But yeah, I think any team can get behind it. They just got to find the right people, and if they need help, I've got a whole media crew that we are in a group chat together, and man, they're hungry for work and all good at shooting and creating content alike. So yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of there's a
think
lot of talent. So
I
sorry, go
think the
ahead, Brad.
one no, I think the one thing the ownership groups I'm involved with the Halton Hills Coyotes and I've been involved with a lot of teams in senior hockey throughout the years. I think the one thing these teams need to learn, either even on the junior level, is this we're in the social media age. This is what puts butts in seats, right? It's your videos who people see on the reels who are the Alveston Killer Bees, who are the Sarnia Sting, or Chatham Maroons are on a heater right now. And it's the videos that you're creating that put these butts in seats because other than that, it's just word of mouth, right?
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah,
it's
it's
kids.
you.
It's kids too,
It's
right? Like
kids. No, it's the kids.
youngsters, man.
Hey, you see a viral video from 48 Cuts. Oh, we got to go see the Killer Bees like
Hmm.
this weekend, right?
Yeah, well, and I mean, like he said, like Kyle said, with, you got to give the shout out to those people that make everything happen. Because I mean,
Yeah.
you look at teams like the Bees and you look at what they put on. It's a spectacle. It's a show. They put on a show. You're not just showing up and, oh, Canada, and then they play hockey and you go home. There's an entire process that goes into that, whether it be, like the chili cook-offs and the guaranteed 50/50s and all these things that bring people in. But ultimately, your brand and what you're doing is a big part of it as well, that ties it all together, where people now have a visual. It's not just word of mouth. They can see the 50/50 jackpot, the amazing events that they do in the off season, even like we said, the golf events, the tournaments, the chili cook-offs. That brings the attention to the Bees from the youngsters in Lambton County, Chatham area. They say, "Hey mom, hey dad, we're hanging out with my buddy on Friday. I want to go down to Alvinston and watch a Killer Bees game. This weekend, let's go down and let's watch the Killer Bees this weekend." And that brings people in. And that's what I said. It's a great process. The way that Alvinston's running things right now, I think, you ask people in the Allen Cup, you ask people in the OEHL, it's undeniable that the way that Alvinston, the standard is set, it's at Alvinston. We had the opportunity, I don't know if you caught our episode last week, we had the opportunity to interview the Allenville Harvesters ownership group. And that was one of the things that even they had mentioned in that episode, in that interview, was, we said to them, you see teams in the NPHL, a la Alvinston, that's small town, packing the barn, doing good social media work. And, do you get inspiration? Do you guys take inspiration from them? And they admitted it flat out, that's, what Alvinston's doing is an inspiration to the Allenville Harvesters. And, they're selling out the barn up there. And, people are trekking through the cold weather, coming out and seeing them, and they're learning from guys like you, and the situation and the team that Scott and Brett and all the guys up there have put together. And it's definitely it's got to be a point that you guys should be proud of. It is I guess my whole point. So
Yeah, I know that those guys are proud, and but they also they don't rest, right? Like they go already coming up with better ideas to make the in-game experience better, and getting a live host would be one of those we've been talking about, and different things that we're going to add to the Jumbotron. I pump out 30 minutes of Jumbotron content every game. It's 10 minutes pre-game, 10 minutes for each intermission, and it's interviews, it's highlight videos, it's whatever to keep fans entertained. Plus, if you ever been there, it's like a stag and dough in that auditorium, man. There's like drinks are flowing, the band's going. It's a good time, and I give it all credit to them. If it wasn't for the people behind the scenes, I wouldn't have a job out there, that's for sure. And I'm so grateful for them.
for sure, it's couldn't do it without the volunteers, the ownership group, et cetera, of any one of these teams. So one of the things I wanted to ask you about, you had mentioned it earlier on, your rivalry series video, and you had mentioned the kids are bringing that up from last year, and how they still watch the videos. I wanted to ask you, you're obviously very familiar with the Squires. You work with Elvinston. Is that a rivalry that the Killer Bees miss? Because I know that there's a rivalry for us in Stratford. Obviously, the Elora Rocks are a team that, we never got along very well. I think the proof's in the pudding. And, Tillsonburg, Stratford, great rivalry. Orangeville, Elora, Orangeville, Aaron, all these teams that
Fulton
are,
Hills, Aaron. Like
yeah.
we're begging for a rivalry right there, right?
I
Basically,
love
my
that.
point being, do you feel that? Do you think the Bees guys do miss that rivalry? And is that something that, maybe the guys hope for, to possibly make a return in the future at some point?
To be honest with you, I think it got to a point where it needed a rest. It
Mhm.
got a little ugly. It got to the point where like it wasn't hockey anymore, and there was some games, and sorry, I got a church phone in. Um, and it got to some games where it got a little bit out of hand, and this year with Strathroy, like when you watch those games, yeah, they're fierce, and there's a little scrappy. Like Preston and Ryder got into it there, and I just think that it's hockey though. It's actual hockey, and that fight needed to happen. They thought that hit on, you'll see it on, that's actually on my video, the rival video, with Ryder hit LeBurge there, and they thought it was dirty, but honestly, when you rewatch it, it's shoulder first, shoulder to shoulder first, and just the way he's whipped back, and Prusty took it upon himself to make sure that hey, you can't be doing that shit to our players. We're going to be answering the bell. So, with Petrolia, it got just downright dirty at times, man. Like that Chandler hit was bad. I got that on video, and that was ugly. And it needed a break. It needed a rest. And honestly, I hope it comes back because I feel like Petroli's team this year, I don't know if they'd be able to compete, but they have some scorers. Like they have goal scorers on their team now and less of that like that grit. And I haven't been to a game, but I'm just kind of keeping up on the stats and keeping up on who's scoring the goals. And it seems like it's better hockey, to be honest with you. Not
Yeah.
sure if you guys have caught any of those Squire games your way, but it just seems like they've changed their dynamic there and maybe insert them into. Man, I would love a rivalry like mini tournament. You get like, man, you Strathroy, Stratford, Tilbury, Petrolia, Alvinston, and like we get the old barn in like Sarnia, the old Pat Stapleton, which is an awesome
Hey,
barn to shoot
hey,
out.
you can't. If you're inviting those teams, you got to invite Tilsonburg because all Tilsonburg
Oh,
doesn't get along
Tilsonburg,
with any of
yes.
those teams. So, no,
Yeah.
I agree. I know what you mean though. I like it did feel like the way that the former league had everything going on behind the scenes, and obviously everybody knows because Brad and I had a couple hour long conversation about that before we disappeared off the face of the earth for a few months. But there's a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes that contributed and was a direct result of the stuff that happened in that Alvinston and Petrolia game. I was at that game. I was ironically right in front of the
You're in
hit.
the video.
I'm in the video when they sent it to the league. I was right there and they asked
No
me.
way.
I got a phone call. What's your opinion? I said, look like it was from behind. I said, I don't think that it was I don't think he was intending to injure him as bad
No.
as he did, but it was no question about it. Like it was a dirty play, and it's my whole point of this is that I agree, obviously we know everything that happened with the Laura and Stratford last year. I don't think I have to get into that. Some of these rivalries needed a bit of a rest.
Yeah.
And maybe one day we can reach a point where, whether it be separate from Hockey Canada or the OHA or whatever, maybe that these teams will have tournaments or maybe one
Yeah.
day they'll be in the same league. Who knows? Senior hockey is an ever evolving landscape. I just know that from a viewership standpoint, not from, take away the play by play, take away the media side of things, take away the journalism side of things, just from a guy who watches hockey, I really did love those local rivalries. And after the former league split up, and basically half the guys went this way, half the guys went that way. It's something I do miss. I do miss driving 10 minutes down to Tilsonburg on his Friday night and watching
Yeah.
Stratford come to town, watch Alvinston come to town. Those were games that meant a lot. And now I get it. I mean, Alvy Strathroy have half the Tilsonburg team now from last year, so obviously it'll be a different picture this
Yeah.
year. But seriously, the rivalries that we're missing out on, I think, is because I mean, you brought it up. Rivalries are a big part of hockey,
Mhm.
and I don't know where senior hockey's heading. Obviously, blocking biscuits, when they reached out to me and when they reached out to Brad, a lot of the ideologies of these guys was to try to bring senior hockey into one place. There's a lot of
Mhm.
egos. There's a lot of my league's better than yours, and we know what it is at the end of the day, right? It's just a measuring contest between powerful guys that have a lot of money, and that's not what we want to see. We want to see the hockey and the players succeed. And I think that Blocking Biscuits has that vision. And, you're a guy that works with multiple leagues, multiple teams. And, could you imagine, next year the OHL splits in half and the Sting and the Knights
Yeah.
never don't play because, oh, well, we're going to
Mhm.
go join the Michigan, we'll go join the USHL. All of a sudden, Sarnia's in the USHL.
Yeah.
And, you miss out on the Knights and Sting 4 or 5 times a year. And that's kind of what we're dealing with right now, right?
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a sad thing, and we do hope that maybe one day it comes back around, and we'll just see how things go. Because I know for content's sake, I mean,
Yeah.
you're missing a little bit there for sure. So
I know, and I think Petrolia took the brunt of that because Alvinston has their fan base pretty locked in, and I feel like Petrolia, a lot of the fans, even if they're Petrolia fans, wanted to turn up for that rivalry. They wanted to see that rivalry, and it was always a packed barn. I know you said you were at that game there, and you look at Petrolia stands now, and it's a tough look. It's back to when I was drinking those $3.50 beers up in the top. There was many people there, so it's tough to see on their side of things because no matter what sport it is, that rivalry brings people to the seats. And my job is to make sure people know when it is and to create some hype behind it. And I think I put that video out the week going into the 90-second update, and I was like, this game's gonna be good, and I knew it would be. But man, did it absolutely just like it checked all the boxes I wanted to check. It had some amazing saves on both sides. It had massive hits. It had a fight with an ex-NHL player that was a tough guy. Are you kidding me? And it had some big goal scorers, and it came down to the wire with the captain of Alvinston blocking a shot to get the win. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it was just the perfect game for fans to show up for, and it just proved my point that that rivalry is real, and that goes across those four teams that are in that division. Like Tilbury, I would say obviously in the bottom side of it, but still beat the top team, Killer Bees, straight up. Great game. I know they had four players extra that they don't normally don't have. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It was still a win's a win, and I hope that those players see the type of hockey it is, and they're like, "Hey, I want to sign up for that Tilbury team next year, and get in there," because a lot of these kids that come out of college hockey, these university hockey, they're solid players, and you
Oh
insert
yeah.
them in senior hockey, you're laughing.
Well, that's what the good teams in senior do, right? Like you look at it, you have one or two guys that are ex-pro, that are extremely talented, and then you fill your roster with junior B guys. Like, look, you guys got Lamoureux and Chandler. Like those guys played in
Mhm.
St. Mary's together. They have that chemistry going back to those days. You know, you got the guys like Freifogel, McGowan, former GOJHL Defenseman of the Year. Like these kind of guys come in and they stand out, right? And that's what fills the team. Obviously, Alvinson's a little bit different in net. Obviously, very fortunate to have two of the best goaltenders in the league. I mean, you got a guy that played in the NHL, you got a guy that was, a 4 year starter in the OHL. Not many teams can say that, but look who the best goaltender is in the league
Yeah,
numbers wise every year. It's Evan DeBrouwer, and he was the NCAA goaltender of the year, which is
amazing.
an achievement that I definitely never sniffed, and it's super cool to see. At the same time, Stratford goes on wins the championship last year with Zach Weir, who was a junior B kid, right? Like
Yeah,
it's really cool to see the way that the league has formed in terms of, like you had mentioned, the old Squires. Trust me, when I was a little guy, I was 7, 8 years old. My family did live down in Petrolia, so I know
yeah,
I spent a few years down there, and I got to see those old Squires games against the Tilsonburg Vipers and some of these old teams, and it wasn't what it is today. And to see what it has developed and what it's evolved into, it's definitely something that we're super excited. And all three of these leagues, I mean, Blocking Biscuits, we bring I know tonight's been an NPHL focused episode
Mhm.
because all three of us here work in the NPHL, and we're catching up, we're telling old stories. And but at the end of the day, the Allen Cup has some incredible talent over there. You see guys like Corey Conacher, former member of the Montreal Canadiens and the Tampa Bay Lightning, with the Wentworth Griffins, and you see some of these dudes that are playing over there, and it's like this. Imagine Alvinston and Stony Creek. Imagine Wentworth
Yeah,
playing Strathroy, right? And imagine Elmville coming down and taking on Orangeville on a hour and a half road trip, right? Like
yeah,
these are the things that we're super excited to, try to get to in the future. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but I'm super happy, to try to bring this all into one place. And, guys like yourself are really helping out by bringing senior hockey to the forefront of the attention of the social media side of things. So, Brad, I don't
yeah.
know if you got something to add there before I.
No, I mean this is it. You're right, Trey. It's been a bit of an NPHL focused episode, but it's great to reminisce on some of these things and reminisce on some of your videos, Kyle. Just going into that, talking about maybe some of your viral videos and maybe some tips out there for people who are just getting into the game. Because the one thing is you do a lot of great work, like you said, in Lambton and Chatham, Kent, but we're all over Ontario. So how can some of these people who are trying to get into the senior hockey content game? Get viral videos, or what are the things that you're doing that you find work for you?
Um, Somebody that may have or may not have a camera, definitely getting a camera, a mirrorless camera, a good lens on it. That's going to help a lot because your imagery is going to come a lot better. I know a lot of people can shoot phone stuff, and you can get viral stuff on a phone. Guarantee, like you most likely a lot of the viral stuff you see online come from a phone, but to get the quality and to showcase your team that you're working for at the highest level, that's my goal is to showcase any team I work for, any content I provide. It's got to be in my books, like in that NHL quality range, you know what I mean? Up there in quality. And you can get that fairly easy with, a good little setup. I run Sony, so Sony camera and, a 24-70 that you can get off Amazon for, $1,200. So you probably couple grand, you got a good setup for these rookies that are getting into it. And then just To start, it's hard shooting hockey. Hockey is not an easy sport to shoot. It's probably the only one worse would be lacrosse with that white ball. It's just so fast. And these players, I tell them all the time, sometimes they'll throw a fake shot and they fake me out, right? Like you're trying to follow the puck so quick to the net to get that goal. But it's tough. So to start off, just try to get some smaller, you can get like a 15-second, 3 or 4 clipper, just some nice, really crispy shots to show off the jerseys, to show off maybe a face off or a good shot and warm up or something like that. Just start simple. For anybody rookies, don't try to overcomplicate it. Go on Instagram, get a viral song, put like 2, 3, 4 clips together. You put that up on social. It's if you're using a good camera, you're going to have just that clean look for your team. You throw a couple photos up there with that camera, and honestly, it's not rocket science. And if you know, like I said earlier, if you know your settings, you work on your settings as a rookie. I've got a bunch of interns, people that work in the area that I try to help out with that kind of stuff. It's those little things that you can learn of setting the right ISO, setting your white balance, that nerd stuff that us camera guys love to talk about, and having it right, the right exposure. Those things are going to take you far. And then when you get into that post production, is making sure your color grade is going to be good. That makes it pop on social media. It makes it pop on your phone because transferring from your computer to your phone is a different color grade. So there's a lot of little tiny things, but for real, a few good clips, a good viral song, and that can take you far. If you're just a rookie trying to get into it, or maybe you're a team owner and you got a buddy that says, "Hey, he'll shoot some clips for you." It's keep it simple. Keep it simple at the start, and then as you get more reps into this game of media, then you can start complicating. And YouTube is your best friend in that situation. You want to learn anything, you see another creator create something cool, you can YouTube that, learn it, and apply it to your stuff. And honestly, I never went to school for this stuff, and self-taught from my promoting days, from Photoshop to Adobe Illustrator to Premiere now. And yeah, it's everything can be learned on the internet. That's the beautiful thing about our generation is that you don't need a textbook, you don't need to go to college or pay for it. It's all on YouTube.
Yeah, you can figure, like you said, pretty much anything out, right?
Yep.
And specialize in anything as long as you have the passion and you have
Yeah.
that fire inside of you that wants to work hard and succeed. And I mean, you already mentioned it, your advice to teams. If teams are looking for somebody, start in the summer, reach out to high
Mhm.
school
Yeah.
kids, reach out to these college kids. But flip it around, Kyle. How would you advise these youngsters that are maybe up in some of these small town up,
Yep.
in Northern Ontario, that are, up in the Georgian Bay, that
Uh-huh.
are looking to cover some of these OEHL teams up there, whatever it be, Saugeen Shores, whatever, what advice would you give to a youngster? How do you market yourself properly to approach one of these teams and come in confident and sound like A, you know what you're doing, and B, you're going to benefit the team through social media?
Oh man, if I were to do it, I would do it the same way I did it. Is go to minor hockey. If you got buddies playing, or if you got whatever your age is, find minor hockey you can shoot for. Go shoot as much minor hockey and work out those reps as you can. Get it dialed in, and then you have a resume that's going to be online. You got Instagram posts that are online that you can send to a team, and then honestly, most of these teams, especially in the senior level, even the junior level, um, are run by like they're loosely tied into the owner somehow, or somebody that can get in contact with the owner quickly. So just start DMing them in your area. Just like, hey, I'll go shoot for free. Give me this many games, and we can talk about maybe consumption. You know what I mean? Like, give me some payback, whatever. Um, but yeah, minor hockey and the kids will help you go bigger. These kids, like especially in like the U18, U16, U15, they got Instagram. They're gonna reshare this stuff. They're gonna be amped up. You start posting that stuff on Instagram or TikTok, they're gonna reshare it. Your name's gonna get bigger with that. They're gonna want you to come out to the games. Just get those reps in. Invest in yourself. I know it's like, oh, I gotta make money, blah blah blah. Sure, work a normal job when you can. If you're a student in school, hustle, grind. That's our generation. I'm 43, which is you know what I mean? Like I'm in a world of like teenage kids that are getting into this, or 20-year-olds that, you know what I mean? But what I learned in my generation, our generation, is like, man, we grind. I'm sure you guys are a lot younger than me, but um I love this. I'll wake up and think of an edit or think of a way I can fix an edit or something like that. It'll be midnight, 1 a.m. and I'll go to it because I love it. It's not work to me. I'm passionate about it. I love creating. And if you or kids that in the teenage years, 20s, 30s, whatever your age is, you want to do this, you want to try this, get into it. Minor hockey, go shoot some stuff. Try to find a like a U18 team, U16, something a little quicker so you can kind of get that speed because when you get to senior or junior, it's fast. You gotta track that puck. It's fast. So yeah, definitely get the reps in, get stuff posting, and just continually post. Get those reps in. Reps are everything in the media game.
You heard it there. Youngsters at home, if you're looking into getting into hockey, you got one of the top senior hockey content creators of this entire province right here giving you the advice for free on behalf of Block and Biscuits here. So thank you so much, Kyle. And before we fully wrap up the show, we did want to give a shout out and recognize the other people that are working really hard across this province and just wanted to, say a few names and thank them for,
Yeah.
not only becoming a big part of this movement, but, teaching guys like us, how important it is to have that steady social media presence, be available and ultimately be a hustler, right? And like
Mhm.
we're talking, even within the NPHL, obviously, Brad, you work closely with RZA Visions up there
Yeah.
in Halton Hills. So shout out to him and shout out to obviously Nick Wilton, does great work for
Yep.
Strathroy. And, obviously we got Juan, we got Cloud North,
Yep.
who, by the way, he just had a baby. So congratulations
Oh,
to
nice. Congrats.
Congrats.
healthy baby boy has been delivered. So, but Juan does a great job. You look at some of those
John in
videos.
Orangeville. Shout out to
Yep.
Johnny boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, JF.
JF. That's
Yep.
JF, our boy JF. Juan did a couple videos last year too, during our finals round there with Strathroy. Obviously, he's got a different style than you, but
Yep.
he
Love it.
came in, but he's a storyteller, just like you.
Yeah, yeah. He's
Told
a
us
great guy.
told the Grace Bowen story. That went viral for Stratford.
Yep.
Brought a lot of attention to Hockey Fights Cancer, and living and living every day to your fullest because you just never know what can happen, right? And obviously Yorkie,
Yorkie.
for
Yeah.
used with us and just an amazing editor.
Oh
Like
yeah. He's sick.
I think
Yeah.
of people that I could see one day directing movies. York's
Yeah.
up there for sure. So
He's nasty. He's sending me some stuff the other day. He's doing some concerts and stuff like that. Just an incredible editor and like he's so good at color space and stuff like that. So awesome to meet him. And yeah, it was cool to see him working for Stratford for that few months there. But another one that's new to the space is K Media, Kendra.
We were
She's working
gonna
with
shout her
Tilsonburg
out.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so shout out to her. So I've been helping her out and telling her push that video stuff and so she's starting to do that more and it's good to see and man, she lives in Tilsonburg, so it's a perfect little combo there for her to get down to that arena there and shoot for them.
yeah, they'll be in the playoffs pretty soon. So and I just saw her video that she did for their last game of the year in
Yep.
Delhi. She does great work. Like
Yeah.
tells a story. That's the biggest thing with you guys. You telling stories, right? And we're thinking of did I already say Jade Barco? Jade
No,
does
not
great.
yet. I was
Oh no,
about to
Jade,
shout
yep,
out
Jade,
Jade.
yep.
Yeah.
Jade does great work.
Yep.
Had the opportunity to have a few conversations with her. She was already booked up. We were looking to get her to do some games for us this year. But again, a hustler, a
Yep.
grinder. And that's the thing. That's the one thing about seniors. Everybody's playing Friday or Saturday. So
Yeah.
we got
Lot
Love
of
it.
grind.
Daryl. I think Daryl Smart obviously works out with the Ironman out Six
Yep.
Nations. He does a great job as well. And I mean, just so many people.
Emma with the Apple Kings.
Yeah, Georgian
Yeah,
Bay.
sure.
And we
Love that.
had we're just discovering people every day
Yeah,
that
that's awesome.
are new to this and that they're doing great work. And our advice, keep working, keep grinding. This market, the senior hockey market, is expanding, it's growing.
Mhm.
People like Blocking Biscuits are coming in and trying to
Yeah.
bring everything to the table. If you're out there and you're shooting content for your local hockey teams and you want Blocking Biscuits to share it, like Kyle said, let us know, right? We'll be able to push it through our platform. We'd be more than happy to give you guys shout outs and show off that we got a lot of talent in this province and people are adjusting and we want senior hockey to continue to grow and take that next step. And that's the ultimate goal of Blocking Biscuits. And Kyle, we're just so happy that, you share a lot of that same passion with us, obviously on the social media side of it, I'm the guy that is here to host the podcast, and Brad's the guy that, he's going to edit the podcast, but still seeing that passion, in different areas coming from all of us, it's something that I think that if we work together, just imagine how strong this all could
Yeah.
be, right? I'm wearing this hat, and you're with the Killer Bees, but at the end of the day, I got nothing but respect for you and for what you do and what your organization does. And Brad, I mean, Halton Hills Coyotes, man, first year. I mean, I mean, the Richmond Hill Coyotes moved to Halton Hills. Can't say first year.
Yeah.
It's been an adjustment period, right? I mean, trying to attract new fans in a new place and all that stuff. But all three of us are kind of on a different side of the hockey. I do play by play. I'm up in the broadcast booth
Yeah.
and bringing the game to the people. You're on the ice. You're in the box doing it. Filming, like you said, working hard to capture that story. And Brad, you're behind the scenes. Making sure everybody's got their koozies and their mini sticks and all the sponsors are in order. And guys, all three of us tonight. That's my big piece of advice. Keep grinding, keep working,
Yeah.
and we love everything you do, Kyle. Thanks for being here with
Yeah,
us
no,
tonight,
thanks
man.
for having me, boys. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure we'll see each other soon. Playoff starting here. Actually, yeah, Stratford's got one more game there, so I'll see you soon. And
I'll
Alvin,
be there. I'll be
yeah,
there. Don't worry. Hopefully we can finally beat you guys. I don't know though. I wouldn't bet on it. You guys got a pretty good team, and we took you to overtime in a game that we
yeah.
were winning 4-0. But let's not talk about that. That's I always joke with people. The one thing I've learned about Stratford, being around them, seeing them as a rival. I was in Tilsonburg, dude. We didn't like Stratford, but
Yeah.
that was one thing that they always found a way to do somehow. And you talked about it earlier. They always find a way to bring their best performances in the postseason. And
Yeah.
I know for the Bees, it's been that championship game 7 loss, and then last year the heartbreak in the
Yeah.
Stratford series. I have said since the start of the year that team is honestly my betting favorite. If I could gamble on this, I would, because they got so much fire, they got so much passion. You got a great leader in Q. You got
Mhm.
Feezy there, like you said. You got those young kids that have really gelled and they've developed in the senior hockey game. Like you said, Lammer, Chandler, those guys come out of junior hockey.
Yeah.
McGowan, junior to senior it's night and day. Junior's a faster game, but it's not nearly as crisp as senior hockey. Senior hockey
Yeah.
is the passing is on the tape. The power plays are elite, like you talked about.
Yeah.
The goaltending. I'm sorry, but every goaltender in senior hockey was the best goaltender in whether it be junior, OHL, like Fulcher,
Yeah, well,
Raymakers, right?
goaltenders in general, like you look at the NHL, some of these guys don't freaking get good until their 30s,
Yep,
right? Like
exactly.
it's just goaltending. It's not a young guy's position really. So when they're in junior and they're hitting their stride in junior, sure, but like as soon as you hit pro, it's a completely different game. And
Hmm.
I remember being I watched Capitals for the how many years and watching Braden Holtby go from the guy that was, backup to the backup to the guy that won the cup, and it didn't happen overnight, and
Hmm.
that's the same as senior hockey. You're getting these goalies that played in the NHL, AHL, or top OHL, but now they're playing some of their best because they're so smart, right? They were so much
Hmm.
smarter with the game. They see it differently.
It's mental
Exactly.
maturity, right? These guys are
Yeah.
getting older. They've been in the game a long time. And yeah, that's you especially see it in senior hockey. It's like I said, mental maturity with these guys. They know how to play the game, they know how to focus. And I mean, Trey, you're a goalie. It's something you have to
Not
work on for
much,
a
but
lot of
yeah.
well, hey, you know what? A couple more years. That's
Hey,
it
Kyle
just
said, Kyle said you figure it out when you're 30. Boys, I got 3 years to make the NPHL. Here we go. Clock starts now. Book it right there. But no, honestly, my closing thought, guys, in terms of all three leagues, they all have their own way that they play the game. The Allen Cup is an older league in terms of they do have young guys. Don't get me wrong. Don't come in my comments and my DMs and
they're
tell
going
me that
to.
there's there's 8 guys on my roster that are 23 and under. I get it, but the maturity level of the Allen Cup, it's a smart game. There's guys that are in that league. You have to be smart. I mean, you look at the talent in that league in that GTA area. A lot of the best players go play in the Allen Cup. Why? We talked about it last week on our episode. It's a prestigious, historic trophy. That's the way they play the game. The NPHL is a younger, fresh mix of fresh out of junior and some of these guys that have lived the life and told the stories and won championships around the world. And now they're coming to their local communities and they want to play and they want to win. And there's 26 teams, or 20. Oh, is it 26, Brett? Or am I missing one? I think
Gosh,
I think
26,
there's an
27.
extra. Yeah, I think there's an
Yeah.
extra team up east that I forgot
Yeah.
about. But
No.
I do apologize on that one, but there's 27 teams. There can only be one outlaw champion, right? So a
Yeah.
lot to play for. And then the OEHL is even more local. There are guys that play in the OHL. Got most of that league is junior B, junior C, local, hard, grind it out, get up for work, go lay a roof on Monday morning
Yeah.
all the way till Friday, and then you go and you make a 6 hour drive to Georgian Bay to go play a Saturday night game, right? Like it's the way that the
Crazy.
three leagues are all unique. I love and appreciate the uniqueness, but I would love to one day see, the dream of, do we have a tournament at the end, a 4 team tournament, a winner of each league plays each other.
Yeah.
Whatever. Maybe we'll never get there. Maybe it's just wishful thinking, but I'm just really hopeful that we'll get to see that one day. But I just wanted to give a shout out to the leagues.
Yep.
We shout out the people that film the content, and we want to shout out the players that are out there working hard in each one of these leagues. And at the end of the day, there's great senior hockey all across the province of Ontario, wherever you live. Whether, like I said, you're up in Shawville, Quebec. I can't even say Ontario. We got Shawville, we got Poggen Falls up in Quebec in the NPHL, or all the way down to Tilbury, Ontario, way down in the Windsor area. You can watch great hockey Fridays and
Yeah.
Saturday nights, folks. You don't want to miss it. And head to Instagram, by the way. Check out Mr. Kyle Thompson at 48 Cuts. Just incredible work, man. You
Appreciate it.
keep doing what you're doing. I can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks, and we'll definitely touch base then. But thanks so much for joining us tonight.
All right, boys. Thank you so much, boys.
Thanks,
We'll
Kyle.
talk soon.
Appreciate it.
All right, guys, that was Mr. Kyle Thompson on behalf of my producer, also a Thompson, weird world, Mr. Brad Thompson. I'm Treh Hamilton, your host, and this has been the Blocking Biscuits podcast. Have a great night, hockey fans. We'll see you next time.